And it's Good News with Dick Baumbach. And I'm Jeff Heiser, and I'm here with Mr. Baumbach today for some good news. How have you been, Mr. Baumbach?
Been great, and I really think that this is something that we really give the world, which is good news, because we constantly are being barraged by bad news.
That's a fact. Boy, the last couple of weeks have been terrible. And, you know, I've been watching the nightly news to see what they play on their last, I guess, whatever they call it, expose or article or news bit. And even some of those aren't really getting to be really good news. It's like, I don't get it. It's like, holy smokes, you were doing such a good job, and now some of these are so, I hate to say lame, but some of them are just lame.
Yeah, I think that it just is, they can't get out of it. And that's why I really think that people listen to this, because they want to hear some good news in their lives.
Yeah, I know we've received a lot of feedback from people, and they love the show. They love hearing the good news, and so we're going to kick off with some good news. How does that sound?
Let's go for it, man.
Okay, so the first one that we want to talk about is this girl who has donated over 100,000 crayons, markers, and what have you to kids in need. What is this all about?
This is just unbelievable. This is Bethany Custer, and one of her favorite hobbies is drawing. And she goes to Wingate Middle School in Pennsylvania, and she heard that a fourth grade class in Alabama only had one box of crayons for all the students, and she couldn't believe it. So what she did is she went to her classmates and said, can we put together some crayons and stuff like that and art supplies and send it to the school? Well, they did. Well, the thing picked up more steam, and Bethany decided, Mom, why can't we do this for the whole country? And what they did, her parents helped her start Color for Kids, and so far now over 3,000 less fortunate children have received these crayons and other art supplies for free.
Wow. I mean, that just gave me some goosebumps and chills. There are so many hurting kids in this country right now. If you go into the Appalachian area and you think people are poor in some of these inner city places, go to those places. I mean, they don't get milk for 30 days. They don't have meat. And yet these kids are happy, and they're going to school and they're doing their things. And this right here, maybe this will help them out.
Well, and the thing is, as we were talking at the beginning of this episode, when did you ever hear about Bethany? You haven't heard about her?
No. This is crazy. This is really good stuff, because there's kids right in our own town that don't have crayons, paper, pencils, and they can't afford it. And this young lady is doing a good job. Talking about kids with schools, have you seen over the last week or so this young man? I think he said he was in. They said he was in third grade, but he saw this picture of the young Syrian child that was sitting on a couch after the bombing, and he was just a mess. And this kid wrote a letter asking the president if this young man could come and stay at his house and be his friend.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was chilling. Yeah. He lays out in this letter that no child should have to go through this, and it looked like he didn't have any friends, and he wanted him to have a friend, and he'll be his friend. and it looked like he didn't have a place to live, and he could come live with him. And what could you do for me, Mr. President? I was like blown away.
Yeah, I mean, people are good. They really are.
Yeah, and it seems like the young people are really, where do they get it?
I don't know, Jeff. I wish I did.
I mean, think about it. Are we born with it, and then as we get older, we lose it? Or is it something that they're learning from somebody, and we just have to find that somebody to get them back out there so that all of us can learn again what these young people are learning? It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Your next one that you have is a waiter given $500 tip for act of compassion in a grocery store.
Yeah, this gentleman's name is Casey Simmons, and he was in the checkout line at a local Kroger in Little Elm, Texas.
Oh, that's where my son lives. I know that. I know that store. There's only one Kroger in Little Elm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what happened, Casey noticed a woman placing her items on a conveyor belt in front of him, and she was crying. And he said he couldn't want somebody to have a bad day, so he pulled out his credit card, and he paid the $17 grocery bill.
Wow.
And he wrote down his email and phone number for her and said, "Look, I'm a waiter at Applebee's down the street. If you ever want someone to talk to, come in before my shift is over, 2 a.m., and I'll buy you coffee or dessert." The next evening, a customer bought nothing but a 37-cent bottle of water and included in the receipt a $500 tip.
Wow.
And then it was a note on a napkin explaining that this was courtesy of the Sullivan family, whose mother was the woman in the grocery store. And they said, on behalf of the family, we want to thank you for the person you are, because it was one of the most depressing days of the year for her. Her dad had died, her husband had died 3 years earlier, and you made my mom's day great. And so it was like, wow. But then there's just a little twist at the end. Casey totally understands, because he lost his 2-month-old daughter 3 years prior.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so connected. That's an amazing story. I mean, I don't know if I can go on with this show. You got me so choked up on this. Oh, gosh. Because, I've been in that store, and I have been in line, and I've cried in that line because that store, if you've ever been in it, it'll make you cry. But it's a happy cry because it's such a great store. But this story, holy smokes.
Well, the thing is, too, I just realized, Jeff, is when you go visit your son, do you know where the Applebee's is?
I'm going to be looking for it.
Well,
yes, I do. I know where it is.
I would go in and thank Casey.
Yes, I definitely am going to do that. I'm going to tell my son, too, because my son does he does things like this in a different way. He gives services. He's a doctor. He gives certain services out to people that can't afford it, and this is amazing. I want to tell him to go there. It's great. Good story, Dick. That's a really good story.
And if he could send me a piece of apple pie from Applebee's, no more.
Oh, gosh. So your next story, that was, wow, that was a great story. The next one is, here's how New Yorkers are coming together following the Chelsea explosions. Wow.
Well, the thing is, and again, all of these that we're talking about, we haven't heard on the other media. But here is a positive story. The Standard Hotel, which is in Midtown Manhattan, as soon as the thing happened, went on social media and said anybody that needed a place to stay, because there were several places that were destroyed, and that they lived on 23rd between 6th and 7th Avenue, bring proof of an address, and they could stay at the Standard for as long as it took to get their place repaired for free.
Wow. And that's a nice hotel.
Yeah, now here's the next part. Well, the accommodations filled up with the locals, and so they reached out and they said, okay, any other hotels want to do the same thing? And there were other hotels that did it. And then the next thing that happened, and this is where it's all positive, the two men, Lee Parker and Ivan White, who discovered those 5 undetonated pipe bombs in Elizabeth. Well, we haven't heard about this, but they contacted the police, and Lee is homeless and Ivan lives on a fixed income. Well, somebody started a GoFundMe campaign for them, and so far they have raised over $15,000 to help them out.
Wow. I just saw a GoFundMe expose on the news about an old ice cream. The ice cream little bicycle things that the ice cream man used to push around. Well, this old gentleman, I think he was like 89 years old, 86 years old. He's been doing it for 40 years. It was either in New Jersey in that area or New York someplace. And the people loved him so much, and he was such a simple man. They went and did a GoFundMe, right? $389,000 and $284 is what they raised.
I know.
It's crazy. He must have really had good ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, but no, it wasn't ice cream. It was it's not Italian ice, but it's the ice cream that the Hispanics have. I forget what they call it. It's
not gelato.
No. It's I forget what they call it, but it's really good.
It's called Dairy Queen. I'm only kidding.
That was another great story. Let's close this up with a really good one. Church spreads the love by offering free gas to local community. I'm headed to wherever it is.
Yeah, me too. This is the First Baptist Church of District Heights, Maryland, and it hosted a gas donation event where locals could fill up their tanks free, up to $20, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and it was to provide financial relief for people living in that area. And the pastor is a senior pastor, Bobby Manning, and he said that he saw a pastor in New York do it, and he wanted to replicate it, and that's what he did. And then come to find out what else they have done is every year they pick a day. They don't tell when it's going to happen, but they go in and they take over a laundromat, and all the local residents can wash and dry their clothes for free.
Wow, that is a unique community.
Yeah,
it very much is. I mean, how many places do you hear doing that?
I know. But it's good news, isn't it?
It's great news. Most of the time when you hear the gas giveaway, it's some big promotional thing. But this here is they're just doing it because people are hurting. It's like,
exactly.
Wow. So what do you have for us next week? This week, I don't know. This is one of your top ones. It's really been good.
Well, next week we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's and a positive thing that's happening.
Fantastic. Well, until next week, Mr. Baumbach, have yourself a great week, and we will talk to you on the next show.
Great. Jeff, have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. And everybody, don't forget, good news.